Yo, what's going on, guys? I just finished up at the gym here on a Sunday morning. I was thinking on the way here or on the way back because I parked the car and then I walk to the gym and then I walk back. It's like about a mile there and back, or there and then a mile back on top of the lift because it's just an absolutely beautiful day. But I was just thinking, like, I don't know how people get into this stuff or how people think about this stuff. And I feel like the trading world know it like this. It's very like, I don't know, like it's people have more of like this Friday afternoon comes, have a beer, have a drink, whatever. And I'm not like that type of person. But I was just thinking, I made a video on this on TikTok, and I was like, what's crazy to me is that we have now become a society that would think that if there was two people and on a hot summer day, there was one guy who was making frozen margaritas, and then there was one guy who had 6 watermelons and was going to make, watermelon smoothies or frozen watermelon drinks or just simply watermelon juice. Like, that's simple as that. The watermelon guy is weird, but the margarita guy is like the cool guy and he's normal. How does that make any sense? We know one thing is like not good for you, and the other thing is nourishing, hydrating, has electrolytes, etc. How have we become, or how have we gotten to that point where now the watermelon guy is weird? Maybe we're getting back to like that guy being kind of cool. I think he's super cool. I want to be his friend. I want to be that guy. But that's just my post. That's like my post-gym thoughts today, It's crazy. It's crazy. And the same thing like with anything else. Like, it's crazy how many things that we know are like not, it's not even that like it's bad for you and like I'm being a bitch, like, just live a little, have some fun. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not opposed to that at times if you really want to, and it is what it is. But it's like, I feel like, at least in my perspective now, it's like, why would you do things that like if there's something you can do that's like good for you and nourishing or whatever, or healthy, yada, 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 like why that would make you feel good? Why would you not do that when you like could also just versus do something that's not going to make you feel good? It's going to make you fucking feel like shit, hungover, dehydrated. I don't know. Like, haven't we all learned? Like, isn't like, you live and learn a little bit and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this because this is like, I don't feel good when I do this. It's just like when you're sitting on the couch on your phone, like if you're sitting on the couch watching football or watching TV on your phone, scrolling reels, scrolling TikTok, whatever it is, like you probably feel like shit. I know I do. I feel like shit. When I go outside, go for a walk, disconnect, or when I go for a hike, go for a run, go to the gym, I feel good. Whether it's in the moment, like, yeah, you're pushing, like sometimes it doesn't feel good in the moment when you're doing a lift or when you're running hard, but you don't have to do those things. Like, you can just go to just do the thing and enjoy it and feel good about it. Like, after that, I feel good. Like, I feel like when I push hard, I feel good after. When I don't push hard, when I just sit on the couch and do nothing and simply just jerk off my phone with my fucking reels out or whatever, it's like, oh, I feel like shit. So it's like, oh, well then that's your body telling you, science aside, I don't give a fuck about dopamine, this, that. Science aside, it's your body just telling you, like, yo, this makes you not feel good. Let's do less of it. Because if I want to feel good all the time or more often, I want to do this so I feel better more of the time. Like, it's simple. Simple. Take a look at this. So I was on a walk, and well, last night this actually went off. My alert went off on this gold setup. And it was like 9:30, and I was like, I just don't really think I want to take that. And so I didn't take it. And now, as I, waking up today and taking a look at it, we'd be at a point where I'd move my stop loss to break even. So it wouldn't have lost. A pretty clean trade. But yeah, it's one of those where I was kind of just like, just I'm not feeling it. Not that it was bad. It was just like more of like I'm not feeling it, and I don't love the setup, so I'm not going to take it. And the reason why, I guess I should explain that. I, preferably would have liked to see a bit of a tighter consolidation. We've got a pretty big extension here already, which is great. And so these continuations, the higher you go, the less likely they are to continue to push without at least some pullback. And, this kind of upper like little wick here, followed by most of the consolidation being down here, I don't love. I prefer when you have most of the consolidation being kind of in a box and having less of the upper wick. So, because I'm not going to take the trade until the upper wick goes. Like, I want to see a new high, at least on the time frame I'm looking at, before I take it. So I didn't take it, And it's one of those where it's like, in this example, it seemingly looks as if it's going to work, or at least I wouldn't have lost with a break-even stop, but it's kind of part of the game. And the thing I was thinking about today, as I was just like walking or coming back from walking this morning, I was like, it's kind of that's kind of the cool part about this whole thing. And the right word is, you have the discretion to decide like when you want to be in, when you want to be out. And if you don't love it, in my experience over the past like couple of years, when I don't love the setup, more often than not, it doesn't work. And so I use that as okay, if more often than not, if the probability of me not loving the setup, it's not perfect, there's a little something I'm not liking. If I don't like that, then don't take it. And if I do that, I'm going to save myself money net, because more often than not, those trades are not going to work. Now, just because more often than not they're not going to work doesn't mean you can't make money doing that, because you can technically have a 35% win rate and then make a lot more on your winners and losers and make a net profit. Sure. But it's also, which no one really talks about, it's also like the mental piece of it. It's like the mental side of like, oh, you still have to deal with more things, another loss, and like that potentially could weigh on you. So having a cleaner approach, cleaner mindset, and not having to think about that stuff sometimes, or think about the extra trades, and just having less on your plate in general, I think could be pretty helpful. And it tends to be, or it has been helpful to me. So while yes, this one in this situation looks like it's going to work, most of the time they don't. And so knowing that, I can sleep good at night, if you want to say that, you know what I mean? And I don't really care, because in the past, this would be something that's like eating away at me. And now I'm sitting here all day trying to force something, because like, I gotta, because I'm missing out, which just, it doesn't help you. It's going to make it worse. So it's like, why am I even going to bother doing that? Okay. So we have a bit of a dilemma and a question to ask about what we should do. So I was recently, or a alert recently went off. Here it is. And this is CVS. Market has been super bad, like just in general. And so I drew out the map of what I wanted to see, or what I want to see for a swing trade opportunity. And it looks pretty good. The issue, well, you can say it's an issue. You can say it's just the situation. I'll say it's the situation. The situation is, tomorrow is FOMC, Jerome Powell. So you could say, okay, well, because Dirty Jerome is tomorrow, let's not do this. Let's just wait. However, if we wait and it goes much higher, I get a much worse entry. That's the dilemma you always have to think about. At the same time, you also have to consider the fact that the market's super weak. CVS is holding up very, very strong. More likely than not, we are going to get a substantial bounce at some point in the market. It's just probabilities. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to predict what's going to happen next. No, it's just probabilities. More likely than not, that's going to occur based off of how sentiment has been pretty poor, based off of price action. Many might think the other or the opposite of that, but that's, again, how the game works. You got to have people on both sides. Just from my experience, probability that we do go higher. So where do I want to be? I want to be in the higher relative strength, or the better relative strength, or the stocks that have more relative strength as that turn occurs, because those tend to be my best trades. And that's just study, or just seeing it happen a lot. So what I mean by that is, if we do turn around and we just curl up on the overall markets, CVS is poised, where it's breaking out today, it's poised for a nice push, and there's a very good chance that that trade works. So that's kind of the situation that you have to think about. I'm probably going to let this kind of play out and see how it closes in the next hour and a half. It's 2:19 p.m., so I'll see what happens. But that's just, it's kind of like a standard, contemplation. We had, of course, the gold trade, which, by the way, let's take a peek at how gold's looking right now. So is it a like, I didn't take the trade, but here's the look of the charts. Very, very good, if you ask me. Very, very good. Looks very nice. So that's going. And so it's like, oh, FOMO, sure. Yeah, you can say that if you really want to. But we didn't take this. And now, we just so happen to, you can think, oh, well, I missed it. I got a FOMO in. Well, I just set my alerts. I do my same things. And Oh, it just so happens that CVS has an alert today. Now, do we want to get in that? And then just kind of move on to the next one. It's just like roll into the next one. There's a million, there will always be another, there's an endless stream of opportunities that will continue to come to me at some point in time. I can't tell you exactly when, but they will continue to come. And when they come, it's my job to be there and to make the decisions to put myself in a higher probability of making money than not. And that is what we aim to do. Okay, so I just entered across all three of the accounts. We now have a position. The volume's been pretty good, to be honest, and I kind of like what I'm seeing on CVS, so I'm rolling with it. But let me just go through and run through the dollar amounts on these different accounts. Currently, we're waiting on the trade copier to be like working with Trade Locker properly, so I'm not really using one. I have to just enter this in manually, which is not a big deal because it's a swing trade, so the exact entry is going to be a couple cents off, not a big deal for each of the accounts. So on the 10K account, we are trading, or we are risking $80 to make 134. Okay. On the 25, now 26K account, we are risking, I want to say, like 2.5x that. We're risking 199.65 to make 337.15. And then last but not least, now on the $200,000 account, here's where it's a bit interesting because I technically can't just multiply 20x the 10K because of the different rules and stuff with this account, because they make it so that your losses and stuff have to be tighter, whatever, like your drawdowns can't be as big. So you just have to, I just size smaller to allow for that to be fine, like for that to make sense. Most people will not. And if they don't, and they have a mishap, then in one trade or two trades, even three trades, they could be blown out when it would take me 10 plus trades to get blown out. Yeah, we're risking about $671 to make $1,134 on the 200K account. The reason why, well, not reason why, I guess I just explained why partially that was the sizing, but also a win must be more than $1,000. It has to be more than 0.5% of your account in order for it to count as an active trading day. Just something to think about because that's how they kind of screw with you. Not to mention, I also followed up with the emails today on the prop firms that I've been using for stocks, Arctic Funding. And they have an inactivity rule, which means if you do not place a trade every 30 days, they will take your account. Sneaky little thing there, right? But I did ask and I confirmed, is there a minimum sizing that you need to have? No. You could just take a micro trade on one share of something and then you're good, just to make sure the accounts are active, as they say, active. So that's a good sign, but I was getting close. I'm about less than 10 days out, or about 10 days out from being 1 month since taking a trade on these stock accounts. Did that have an effect on this? No, it did not. This is what I want to be in, but that is a component, I guess, to a degree that you have to think about. I had a gold trade about a week or two ago, and then I just haven't had a stock trade since February 28th. It's now March 18th. So I'm like, okay, technically we're 10 days out from now hitting the 30 days of inactivity. We got to take a trade here at some point, whether it's actually a real trade or if it's like a fake trade where it's like I just take one share of SPY and then just buy and sell and then, make or lose 10 cents and that's it. That's kind of what you'd have to do. But so we're in. So that's the first trade, or the first stock trade of March. I don't know if this is going to be something we close out by the end of the month. Maybe we'll see. Tomorrow could be a good day of catalyst, so we'll see what happens. But I'm sitting in this one. The plan is to swing it for a bit, so at least a couple of days at a minimum. Probably more based on how CVS moves. Probably going to be like a week or two long at least, but we'll see. Good Thursday afternoon. Come to the local turf field to get in some sprints because I'm like that. You got to do it on the weekdays because springtime, kids at school, but it's really cold today. It's like 50, windy as hell, as you can tell. But yeah, I'm going to get probably 5 or 6 good 40 to 50 yard dash kind of sprints. Warm up a little more. And that's it. When you go hard for, a good 5 or 6, you get the job done. And I try to do this now instead of my long games I used to do when I was training for ultras. So now I'm just doing sprints, which one of the days, and then I'm running at least 2 other days a week, and then lifting 4 days a week. Seems to be working pretty good. So warm up complete. Let's try to get a couple. See if I can record a couple of these. Probably like a freak, but let the heart rate cool down. The key is though, it's because you're exerting yourself a good bit. You got the heart rate to really settle before that next rep. So it does take a while. So, well, yeah, less, distance than running, 10 miles. You could say that there are times where I prefer the 10 miles, to be honest with you, because you can just make it nice and easy. All right, boys, that's a wrap. 640s, 4 30-yard dashes. Felt a little glute pump there by the end. Really, actually midway, glutes were pumped. It's probably a good sign. Firing the muscles that gotta be firing. But so I kind of get the glutes decently stretched. Get into this, I don't know what you want to call it, position. Try to get as deep as you can, and then just hold for a bit. I do stretch for about 5 to 10 minutes every night, believe it or not. A, because I think it's actually good for your nervous system to sleep, and B, because I'm tight. And so it makes it easy just to kind of say, okay, that's what I do. I work on my flexibility at night instead of having to do it, during the day, during the workouts. Workouts are workouts. Flexibility is at night. But sometimes I got to just get a little bit in, to wrap up a little sprint sesh. If you want to know a perk to being self-employed, yeah, this could be one. You could do this midday on a Thursday, so you don't have to worry about the crowds on the weekend. I've had some ankle issues. This right ankle after my past couple ultras just takes way longer to recover. And after snowboarding, same thing. It's been a really bit of a pain. So we're trying to work on that. It's just, I think it's weak. I sprained it pretty bad about 9 months ago. And I don't think I ever truly got it to recover to the full degree that it needed to. So that's something we're also working on at night. Has a little bit of ankle mobility, as well as in the gym. Oh, I probably should have mentioned too, because you're probably wondering, like, why did he take off his socks? I don't sprint in shoes. I don't like to. I don't like how it feels. And it's probably better for your joints, tendons, etc. if you could get barefoot. So I try to be barefoot as much as I possibly can. Also the shirt too. Sweatshirt I can't with the little hanging things. I don't like how those feel. So I just take off my shirt because I just don't want to be aerodynamic. You know what I'm saying? More aerodynamic, the better. Is kind of my approach. So it just feels right too. Now, if it was warmer, I probably would do that anyway. When it's cold, if it's 50 plus, I'm going shirtless on any run. Here on turf too, so the turf is just warm as it is. So that's that. Let's get back and make a meal. All right, here's an update on the gold trade that I didn't end up taking. Check it out. So Ends up, it would have worked. Pretty clean. Pretty clean. I had taken the original trade that I had, I think was somewhere back in here for this extension, made money on that, and then just decided not to take this one, and it would have worked. But we are sitting in CVS is the only position I have now. We're sitting in this, and here's a 4 hour. Let's go to the daily. Actually, that weekly looks pretty good too. Yeah, honestly, the weekly looks good trade. I would play off the weekly. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I entered this trade based off the daily, but I probably could have entered it based off the weekly, which means I wouldn't need to get as big of a move. Damn, as I'm looking at it now, yeah, that weekly looks really good. Little bit of issue potentially right here, but if we get above 70, I think we got a very nice shot to 73 on that. So we'll see. She's doing pretty good. Nothing really, I mean, it's a good chance this one takes a couple of weeks. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. It's Friday. The market just closed up, and it's boring. It's like pretty boring. I was just looking at a couple of different things and did a couple of things, wrapping things up. I got a couple of little minor little things to do this weekend or tomorrow and stuff, work-wise, separate, whatever, shit, you know, catching up on just stuff that I need to get done. But I'm trying to make pizza tonight. My own. I make a mean sourdough bread, so I'm trying to make sourdough pizza from scratch. We're gonna see how that comes out. But the market's been boring AF. It's like I was looking around because I do a video on Stock Trends channel once a week, and I kind of do like a market overview. Talk about charts and cool stuff, data. And what I found was I always try to find something cool, and I did find something cool. I always do. What can I say? But realistically, like there's not much going on that I think was that I'm like, oh wow, like this is really interesting in terms of like the overall market charts and stuff. I had to find some data from 2022 to be like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. Like that's how far I had to dig. So it was like, yeah, that's great. But in the grand scheme, I did miss one trade this week. I should have taken the gold trade. Looking back, it would have worked, and it's easy to say that looking back in hindsight. But I didn't take it. Technically speaking, I didn't take it. Technically, it was my strategy. Technically, it would have worked, is what I meant to say. Took a trade on CVS. I got an alert from the prop firm that I'm using, and they're like, hey, you have been flagged due to inactivity. And I was like, what do you mean inactivity, dude? I just took a trade. So that kind of freaked me out because that is one of the rules. If you don't take a trade every 30 days, you can get your account taken from you, which is bullshit on a stick. But then again, most people don't trade the way that I do, I guess. So people trade probably too much, and that's the issue, not that they trade not enough. But otherwise, I think it was a decent week. We'll see what happens next week. I'm trying to get back into it. Weather is turning here, nice and warm, where it's getting warmer. And I'm craving. Plan is to do more of this stuff. Like these first two, videos might be kind of weird, but the plan is to do more, to talk more about things outside of trading. That's what I wanted. That's what I want to do. But then I recognize that my life kind of sometimes is pretty boring. And right now we're at a phase where I have nothing planned. Like I just came back from a bunch of trips and races last year. It was a lot. And now I legitimately have nothing planned, like in the foreseeable future. So my job or my thoughts, or sometimes it's not a bad thing, save some money, but my brain is like, what are we doing here? And I'm thinking about, I really do want to get back into ultra running again. Not that I got out of it, but I haven't done a race in a while. And I think doing a race kind of, gets me going a little bit. So I want to do one. I want to sign up for a race at some point. Do one because it's fun, and kind of go from there. So that's a wrap for this video. I probably got enough stuff in here anyway. Bored you enough. Thanks so much for watching. If you're still watching, that's sick. These videos are going to be super laid back, super chill, super low editing. and kind of just a documentation inside of what I think is not being talked about enough, not being documented enough. And I think it's cool. See you guys in the next one. Peace.